Hey, everybody. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties. I apologize. I don't know what the hell happened. I think Levin accidentally closed the stream when he exited out. I apologize for that. Let me just throw a quick tweet out here. Here we go. Sorry about that, everybody. I'm not sure what the hell just happened, but I apologize for that very, very much. But yes, it was a terrible, terrible performance by the 49ers in all facets of the game, all stretches of the game. It just was. It absolutely was. It's incredibly frustrating. But let's keep a little perspective. It's not totally the end of the world, right? It's not. It's an AFC loss. So, that doesn't hurt in terms of seeding in the playoffs and all of that stuff. So that's at least something good that you can pull out of today. If they had to lose, right, it's not an NFC West loss. It's not an NFC loss. So that's obviously a positive thing. Diego says nicely, even the post game goes wrong. I didn't rage quit, everybody. I apologize. I don't know if I think personally I'm blaming Levin. I think Levin had his Brock Purdy moment. Just a brutal performance, even in our post game. Even in the post game show, it was just a terrible performance. Sorry about that, everybody. Look, it's just an off day for all of us. What can I tell you? Hopefully everybody can see this. Sounds like people are jumping back in, so I appreciate that. Let me just throw another tweet out here to get the word out, because I think we lost a lot of people, unfortunately, which is very, very frustrating. I want to get into some of the post-game talk because obviously I want to hear what everybody has to say. How you deal with these reactions says a lot about a team. It really does. Do they go into a shell? Do they take responsibility? Especially Brock. Do they man up? How does he respond here? And I'm going to try and keep an eye on some of the post-game talk and see what he says. A lot of people are saying we saw the tweet. Bay Marin says this shows that Levin is Gold Standard Network's Christian McCaffrey. No Levin, no game. See, that's just mean. That's just mean. Like, I don't need that today, Bay. Okay. I do not need that today, right now. Scrambling here after that. Andre Guerrera says it's not the end, but it's a big slap in the face. The Niners lost to a third string quarterback who tried to lose. No, what are we talking about here? He tried to lose. Come on. That's crazy talk, Andre. I love you. You're a huge supporter of the channel, but I disagree. He's trying to lose. Why was he trying to lose? He drove him down at the end of the game to kick the field goals. It was the winning margin. I know he had some help from the refs, but I don't think he was trying to lose. Carlos says, we all knew we were not going to go 17-0, but to lose to an XFL quarterback is ridiculous. PJ Walker is a good quarterback. Now, the Niners shouldn't have lost to him today, but he this isn't losing to Colt McCoy. He's better than Colt McCoy. I think the weather was a problem for both teams, obviously, but definitely for the 49ers. Certainly for the kickers. Both kickers actually missed a kick in this game. Obviously, Moody missed 2. Browns only missed 1. But it's frustrating. It hurts. Every week I kept thinking, like, is this going to be the week that the Niners lose? I know they're not going to go undefeated all year long, but I kept hoping against hope, right? Not this week. But you know what? Like I said, if I could have picked a week for the 49ers to lose, this isn't the worst. It's an AFC team, not a division game. I wish that they didn't have the injuries that they had, unfortunately. But, I can't control everything. Let me see if I can see some of the post-game talk. Shanahan, after the loss, said they played better than us today. Oh, okay, good. He's going to get into his message with the players. Let me throw this up here. Shanahan, after the loss, they played better than us today. My message to the players was, regardless of whether we hit that kick or not, there's a lot of stuff we need to improve on. We made way too many mistakes on offense. That starts with me. He's 100% right. He's 100% right. Even if the kick goes through the uprights and the Niners win, it was a sloppy game. There was way too much to clean up if you're the 49ers. Way too much. And I'm sure they will. And I don't know if they were, coming off a letdown because of the Cowboys game or what the problem was. But even if Moody had made that kick, there's still, the Niners would not have been happy Mr. J Fizz, YouTube channel member for a month. Thank you, all our YouTube channel members. We always appreciate it. Niners lost because of penalties. They certainly didn't help. And penalties have been kind of an issue for this team all year long. 12 penalties for 105 yards in the game for the 49ers. The Browns had 13, by the way, which, again, Browns had multiple turnovers, had that many penalties. You should be able to beat that team. Even with the injuries, you should be able to beat them. Of course, the 49ers having 12 of their own is not good. M. Patel, back in the stream. Shocker. Kyle is a choke artist. I think that Kyle does pucker. I think that Kyle, he won't admit it, but he gets a little tight in these games, like we do, right? Watching the game, you start to grip the arms of your chair a little tighter. I think Kyle gets tight too. I absolutely does. Andre says, Kyle can't pucker with Christian McCaffrey out. It's like he changes all his play calls. Brown's defense is good, but we should not have lost that game. I agree. They shouldn't have lost. Patel says, Wilkes sucks. How are you going to put this on Wilkes? The Browns only scored 19 points. The Niners held the Browns at the end of the game to a field goal to give the offense to win the game at the end of the game. I can't blame Steve Wilkes. Why? The defense was fine today. I can't put this on Wilkes. On the list of 49ers to blame, Wilkes is way at the bottom for me. Way at the bottom. And you know what? That's a good question. Who do you blame the most for today's loss? I put it on the offensive line. Me, you just can't have that type of performance. You can't get dominated every single play, especially in the second half of the game. First drive of the game, Niners went right down the field, scored a touchdown. It was beautiful. After that, the Browns were like, all right, that's what you're going to do? Okay, we know how to adjust. And the 49ers just never could. And Kyle Shanahan is now, I believe, 1-8 against Jim Schwartz in his career. 1 of 8. Jim Schwartz is Kyle Shanahan's daddy. Like you know, as much as we joke about Shanahan owning McVay, guess what? Jim Schwartz knows how to stop Kyle Shanahan. He just does. And you can say it was, well, because of the injuries or whatever, 17 points for the 49ers. They've been scoring 30 against everybody. Not today. Not today. Let's see this comment. Blip bleep 00. Can't beat the Browns, then you can't beat Philly or Seattle or anybody. That's not how it works. That's not how it works, luckily. It's not the transitive property in the NFL. Styles make fights is the expression, right? Browns have a really good defense. The weather hurt, and Jim Schwartz has a good beat on Kyle Shanahan. It doesn't mean they can't beat Seattle or Philly. Doesn't mean that at all. That is not how it works in the NFL. It just means this was a tough matchup for the 49ers. That's all. Nick Hufford watching on YouTube. The front office has to really look hard at this roster before the deadline. O-line and cornerback help much needed. I think O-line, honestly, especially if Trent Williams is going to be a little banged up, O-line help would be nice. There was a report from Dan Graziano, I believe, that said the Niners may be active before the trade deadline, which is Halloween, by the way. So that'll be good. Let me throw that question back up there. Who do you most blame for today's loss? I've said the offensive line. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there are any other good comments here. AW says sign Gold ASAP. No, like, again, it doesn't mean that Jake Moody can't be a good player, but man, that hurt today. It did. It hurt. Like, the thing about Moody was supposed to be like, he's so mentally tough, right? All that stuff. Well, if you're mentally tough, you come back after missing that field goal and you drill the 41-yarder to win the game. Like, you got to have it, Jake Moody. Have to have it. I know he was at his locker afterwards answering questions. He looks a little shell-shocked, to be honest with you. Let's see if I can throw this up there.
Yeah, I mean, we work really hard together. We've hit a million kicks. You know, it's not like we're not practicing it, or, you know, obviously we trust each other and have each other's backs. And, you know, for a guy that just got here, having, all my teammates, tell me to keep my head up, come give me a high five, pat on the back, like that was pretty cool. So I really appreciate all that. Especially them putting their trust in me to make a kick and just not execute, but having everybody have my back, even for a guy that just got here, that was pretty cool.
Well, there's Jake Moody after the game, clearly distressed, clearly down, although Ben Richards, watching on my Twitch page at Stats on Fire, says he kind of always looks like that. I mean, I'm sure he feels bad. Sean says he's broken. Yeah, of course he feels bad, man. Come on. He didn't let everybody down. I know he feels bad. Who wouldn't feel bad, right? And look, if Jake Moody comes back at the end of the year and has a bunch of good kicks and the 49ers win, get into the playoffs and win the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl, people will forget about this. This is a week 6 game. I know it hurts, especially today. It's going to hurt more than any other day, right? It sucks. It sucks to lose. But it doesn't mean that Jake Moody can't be a good player. Let's have a little perspective. See, now we're getting into nitty-gritty stuff. SF49 Orr says, Warner rushed the interception return. If he waits for Bosa to get in front of him to block, it's a pick 6. We got 0 points on that drive. You can't blame a linebacker for not running an interception back for a touchdown. Like, come on, man. He did his job. He intercepted the ball and he protected the ball on the way down. Come on. Let's not. I mean, it's a great play by Fred Warner. Great play. A lot of people really mad at Jake Moody, and I get it, right? Like, they're angry because it hurts, but let's just, he's a human. He's a human being. I know it sucks, but let's not crush the kid, okay? Ben Richards said, did Bosa play today? Bosa had a massive sack in the game. And I know he didn't make a ton of plays, but when they needed him to step up and make one, he did. Okay. He had a massive, massive sack. I'm trying to remember when exactly it was. I've got everything in my notes that I want to talk about, I put in purple, but I've got so much purple on the page. It's hard to go through it all. Just a depressing day, but Bosa had a big sack. Spy versus Spy says, 3rd round pick on a guy who can't make a kick when it counts. Money my ass, counterfeit. It's a missed kick. I mean, he literally was perfect before that miss. Well, actually not that miss, before the miss earlier in the game. He was perfect on the season. Like, let's chill. Randy Gregory already has more sacks than Armstead in 2 years. That's funny. Gregory played about 20 sacks and 20 plays, excuse me, and he had a sack. J.R. Fultz says, Bosa's sack doesn't count because it was a gift sack. They let him run by. I did not know that some sacks count and some don't. Did the Browns still lose yardage on the play? I mean, man. DNA says, Brock Purdy in this offense, worst game. Big takeaway for me, though, is even in Purdy's worst, without 2 key players, he led a game-winning drive when it mattered against the number 1 defense. Like, why can't we look at it that way, right? Huge drive at the end that Purdy made. He did it, right? He did his job. If Moody makes the kick, we're saying, Brock Purdy's the man, right? He stuck it to everybody, even in a bad game. Brock Purdy did everything that he could have done on that drive, on that specific drive. Carlos says, Levin pulled to Brandon Ayuk and missed the ball. Diego says the Bosa sack held them to just 3 points. Yeah, that's what I thought. So, I mean, look, I'm not going to... I know everybody wants to fire everybody after one loss, right? It's because it's frustrating, because it hurts. I hurt right now. I feel like crap, okay? My Sunday is kind of ruined a little bit. I get that. But we need to have perspective. This is the first time the 49ers have lost in 16 games. They essentially went a full season without losing. Like, let's just have a little perspective. I know it hurts. I'm hurting with you. This is still a good team. We still have good players. And I like this one from Glass City. Let's see how the team responds to adversity. Brock had a rough game, but came through down in the 4th for the game-winning field goal. Unfortunate conclusion. I'm more worried about the injuries, to be honest. I think that's exactly my takeaway. That is exactly what I would say. The injuries matter way more than the fact that they lost their first game. They just do. The injuries could be significant. We don't know. We won't know. We won't know probably till tomorrow, till the team has their MRIs and Kyle has his conference call that he has every week. Those are the most significant thing to come out of the game today. Bosa said afterwards, quote, "I don't think we deserve to win today." I agree. You can't just show up and beat these teams. You got to have more than that. The Niners thought they did. They almost did, but they didn't. Hines says, "Do you think the Niners O-line will have any chance against the Eagles?" Yeah, I do. Again, it's not a transitive thing. Just because it's a matchup game. It's a matchup game. And I think the Jim Schwartz connection, combined with the injuries, combined with the weather, it was a jambalaya of crap today for the 49ers. It was a perfect storm, as they say. Bunch of things conspired. When you lose, it's usually not just one thing. And it certainly wasn't today, unfortunately. The one nice thing is the Niners will have an extra day because they play on Monday night next week on the 23rd, actually on my wife and my son's birthday. So they'll have one more day to recover from injuries, but we'll have to see the severity. We don't know. We don't know right now. Could be very bad. Well, but Brock's going to have to figure it out, right? You're going to have to find a way if you're Brock Purdy, even with your guys out. Have to find a way. Jonathan Marsh says, "Sucks, but it's growing pains for Jake Moody. He's clearly got the leg strength. Surprised they didn't try to get a bit closer before the kick. They had time." Yes, I understand that you may have been able to get a little closer, but it's 41 yards. It's basically an extra point. It's a little further than an extra point. You don't want the risk there to gain a couple extra yards for your kicker versus, or I should say the reward there to gain a couple extra yards for your kicker versus the risk of a bad snap, a fumble, somebody breaks a tackle, stays in bounds, and the play goes too long, and then the Niners can't get the timeout or what. Who knows? Who knows? The risk reward there, I get why Shanahan did what he did. I get it. It's a 41 yarder. Like, you got to have it from your kicker. According to Andre, Debo's x-rays were normal. He's got an MRI tomorrow. It's good that nothing is broken, but also that could be bad because then we could be talking about a soft tissue injury, which sometimes those can take a very long time to heal. So obviously it's good that nothing is broken, but that doesn't necessarily mean the 49ers are totally out of the woods, unfortunately. Fred Warner, after the loss. "The main thing is they earned it and we didn't. Win or loss, it felt like we needed this game. In order for us to be the team we want to be moving forward, we had to get battle tested. That's exactly what today was. We will learn from it." The Niners were not going to go undefeated this year. It was fun to think about. It was possible, but the overwhelming possibility was that the 49ers were not going to go undefeated. They're not. That's okay. The 49ers will move down in everybody's power rankings. We're going to have to eat a pile of crap this week. That's what happens when you lose, right? It's not going to feel good. For the previous 15 weeks, it was awesome. Not going to feel good this week. You're going to have a sour taste in your mouth. And you're going to have to sit through all Sunday next week, right? That's okay. It happens. The last time the 49ers won the Super Bowl, they got blown out like 40-8 by the Philadelphia Eagles. It happens. Doesn't mean everything the 49ers want is off the table. It's all still there for them. There's still only one loss. You're still fighting for the number 1 seed. All that stuff. It's all still there. Mr. J. Fizz, "I was confused. When we had the ball with about 3 minutes left and we had the lead, we didn't run the ball at all. Why? Kyle does not believe in his other running backs." No, so let's get into this for people who forgot or whatever. We could just break it down. 3:21 left in the game. 49ers are up 1, 17-16. They get the ball at the 25-yard line, and Brock Purdy is passing on first down, and he gets pressure, and he tries to throw the ball away to avoid a sack. He gets intentional grounding. So now it's 2nd and 21. 3 minutes and 15 seconds to go. Obviously, the penalty stops the clock, plus it was an incomplete pass. Purdy completes it to Brandon Ayuk for 10 yards. Yay! Ayuk goes out of bounds. Clock stops. Browns don't have to use a timeout. 3rd and 11. Brock Purdy, incomplete, short right. Clock stops. So when the Niners really needed a couple of first downs on that drive, not necessarily points, but at least a couple of first downs, give your defense a breather, run the clock down, force Cleveland to use their timeouts, and they didn't do any of it. They didn't do any of it. But I think the penalty on first down is what caused Kyle to not run the ball the rest of the plays in that possession. Patel says, this game told me they are not a Super Bowl team. They are pretenders. Why, dude? Because they lost the game? Like, you're just trolling at this point. You're just trolling. Let's not get over, let's not overreact. All right. Okay, I want to talk about this. Gabriel Grego. I apologize if I said your name wrong, Gabriel. We really need to limit Christian McCaffrey. You saw this coming a mile away. Running backs get hurt. You telling me if Christian McCaffrey had 5 less carries throughout the year, he wouldn't have hurt his oblique? We don't know that. We don't know that. You can't say that. Running backs get hurt. We don't even know the extent of the injury yet. Let's calm down. I know we want to fire everybody and blame everybody and all that stuff. But, I like this from Kyle Posey. Let me see if I can throw this up here. From Niners Nation, Kyle says, you can tell me the 49ers poured a lot into last week. Now they go on the road in the rain, 20-mile-an-hour wind against a top defense. It's a tough spot. Multiple things can be true. Losing McCaffrey and Debo really hurt. The offensive line could not block the Browns. Brock Purdy was off, and Moody has to make those kicks. All of that is true. It's all true. It's everything, right? It is everything. And Sergio correctly says, today's sucks, but next week's response matters more. 100%. Next week's an NFC game, first of all, so obviously it matters more. Again, 49ers, it's 1 loss. Don't make it 2. Don't make it 3. Don't make it 4, right? Decide, make it a speed bump instead of a complete, pothole. 1 little bump in the road, okay. So it's all about how you respond. The Eagles are not going to go undefeated either, by the way. They're just not. I know they look good, but they're not going to go undefeated, especially because they play the 49ers. So, let's just calm down. Just calm down. That's all I'm saying, everybody. Thank you so much for following me with the stream here. I apologize that we had all those technical difficulties. Let's see if I can see a little more from the 49ers before we call it a wrap. Trent Williams. Oh, boy. I don't like this update. This comes from Matt Mayoko. Trent Williams is in an orthopedic walking boot. He returned to action and played most of the way after sustained a right ankle sprain. I don't like that. I don't like that. Maybe he'll be fine. And I know Trent Williams gets banged up every year, but obviously he's important. He is important. We all saw Jalen Moore. And nobody wants to see any more of Jalen Moore. So that's going to be one thing to monitor as we go through the week. Ben Richards says Trent always has ankle injuries. Yeah, he does. It's tough, man. He gets hurt every year. He never plays a full season. I have to say, I'm looking in the chat, and I feel like the attitude, for the most part, is pretty good. Patel's in here trolling. What else is new? But other than that, I feel like most of you have a pretty good perspective. That's good. We can do that, right? We can understand the loss and feel the pain, but still have a good objectivity when it comes to the game. Carlos M says Dre Greenlaw out. Offensive line overthrows, drops, killed us early. Yeah, it was everything. I mean, Purdy had Christian McCaffrey open for a touchdown and just flat missed him. He overthrew him. He absolutely missed him. That's a touchdown. And Brock's been hitting those for the most part this season. And for the most part since he became the starter. He didn't today. That's, we can leave it at that. He didn't do it today. Period. End of sentence. He might next week. He might 2 weeks, 3 weeks. We don't know. Today, he didn't do it. Jerry, G-N-A, Jerry Narcia. Sorry. Narcia. At least we got out 1 loss out of the way. Let's not doom this one into oblivion / overreact. Exactly. Niners win next week. They're 6-1. Would you have taken that after 7 games before the season started? I know I sure as hell would have. And I think most people would too. A lot of people didn't think they'd beat the Steelers in week 1, right? So you still are where you thought you would be, hopefully, at this point in the season. You're in great shape. Great shape. Let's not forget that. Just keep a little perspective. Mr. J. Fizz says good quarterbacks always have bad games and they always bounce back. Exactly. Exactly. Every quarterback has these games. Every quarterback has these type of games. Let's see how Brock responds. And again, Moody makes the field goal world. What are we all saying about Brock? Great job responding, so poised, blah, 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 all that stuff. And because he still drove his team down. He did everything that you would want your quarterback to do in crunch time. He did it. Moody didn't make the kick, but let's not forget that. That was a good sign from Brock Purdy on an otherwise crappy day. That was a good sign. A lot of people think Kyle should have gone for it more at the end of that final drive. It was 2nd and 7 at the 23. There was 9 seconds left. So at most, you're getting one more playoff. At most. To make it, what, a 35-yard field goal instead of a 41-yarder? Obviously, that's a little easier, but like, how about your kicker just makes the kick? It was 41 yards. Like that, you're not asking for anything extraordinary there, you know? So I can't bang on Kyle because he didn't run the one more play. I'm not going to do that. I can get on Kyle for a lot, but that one I'm not going to get on him for. Let me see if there's any other. Oh, we got the typical from Freddie Warner. We needed a loss like today. That's what everybody says after they lose their first game of the year. We needed it. No, you didn't need it. You didn't. You could have gone undefeated. That would have been cool too. But yeah, let's just keep perspective. Everybody keep perspective. That's all I'm asking. And again, I know it sucks, but it's just one loss. It's just one loss. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of the show, everybody. Thanks for hopping over to the other stream. I really appreciate it. Apologies for the technical difficulties. I'm blaming Levin Black for those. Please rate, review, and follow the Gold Standard Podcast Network. Like and subscribe to the channel. I really, really appreciate it, everybody. We'll be back. I'll be live with Vish tomorrow. We'll break down everything that happened. Don't worry. Lots to react to, lots to break down from this game, and we'll be doing it all week long. Thank you, everybody. Hope you have a good rest of your Sunday, and we'll talk later this week.